Amy from the Warrior Programme, and I wanted to share with you today my story with back pain. So I obviously, own a gym business. I'm a personal trainer, and back pain is one of the most common things that so many of us will go through at various different stages in our lives. But the common perception is that back pain happens because you get seriously injured in sport, you do something irresponsible, you do some like dodgy gardening or dodgy lifting of shopping out of the car, or because you're getting older. It's never something that happens because of tiny things that go on every day throughout your whole life for years and years and years, or something that happens because, or when you're young. It's always got to be an older thing or because of a particular incident. So what I want you to get out today is that back pain is actually kind of annoyingly normal, and there is nothing fundamentally wrong with you if you're experiencing back pain. There's always an answer. It's not always the answer you might like. It's not always the quickest answer, but there is always an answer to get you to where you want to be. So my story starts back when I used to work in an office, or my background is in corporate insurance. Did a law degree, and I, early 20s, sat at a desk all day, kind of doing this whole thing, and I started to get quite a lot of hip pain, quite a lot of upper back pain, a little bit of lower back pain, but not so much. But, that was normal. That was something a lot of my colleagues had. That was something that was kind of like a bit of a joke that, if you work at a desk and it's only so long until you get a back problem and all of that. So you just to kind of accept that it's normal and get on with it. It's not like really bad. It's not like keeping you up at night, but it's just irritating and it's fairly repetitive. Alongside that, I used to do a huge amount of cycling, sort of 100 to 150 miles a week. I used to live in Devon, so it's like up and down hilly. And I entered for a 200-mile event over 3 days. Basically didn't train enough to do it. Cardiovascularly, I definitely could have done it, but I didn't have the strength and conditioning to do it, as my torn hip flexor proved. And I woke up after day one, couldn't walk forwards, had to walk sideways, even down the stairs. And I tore a hip flexor, muscle in the front of the hip, kind of starting from the spine going down, and needed various like ultrasound, physio, all sorts of things, recovery. And I had quite a lot of, like I say, physio, various other therapists over the time to help me sort it. And they got me to a certain place, but they didn't get me all the way, to be honest. I still had the back pain, kind of mid-back pain, the hip pain, working at a desk all the time. It just didn't go away. And that kind of carried on. I then left working at a desk and started doing this as a job, which does mean more sitting down than people realise. You're not like in the gym walking around all the time, although it's better than if you are sat at a desk. And I kind of worked on my strength and conditioning, had a bit of a break from cycling for a while, got a hell of a lot stronger. I was pulling in excess of 100 kilos off the ground, all good, nothing wrong, until one day there was. And I was in the gym about 7 o'clock at night, and I was doing probably, I think, my 7th session of the day. And I was demonstrating a squat with just a bar, no weights on it, nothing like that. Something I could do, hundreds of times in a day. And I didn't feel like I was going to get back up off the bottom. So I got to the bottom of the squat position, bar on the back, and I was like, doesn't feel like there is the power to get back up. No pain, just complete lack of anything. So obviously I did get back up, mainly because I didn't want to look like a twat in front of my client, as I felt at the time. I can't even do a squat, that whole kind of mental narrative. And so I did get back up, and I went home, and everything kind of felt a little bit stiff and just not necessarily painful, just a bit shit. And I woke up the next day and I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't swing my legs around to get out of bed. I couldn't put weight through my feet to, it's weird even to think about how you stand out of bed. So I had to literally press myself up off a large bottle that my partner had at the side of the bed to get out, and walked rather interestingly to the kitchen and called one of the therapists that I worked with at the time to say, what the fuck is going on? Cut a long story short, it was a bulging disc. And a lot of people believe that bulging discs only happen if you're older, or you're in a car crash, or stuff like that, big trauma, or just age means you're kind of fucked, that whole thing. And that is not the case. Bulging discs are really, really common, and a lot of people have them, particularly if you're very active and you're in your normal life and then work a desk and you're late 20s, early 30s. Super, super common. But I did not know that. So I felt like I was also fucked and was never going to come back from this. Everyone would find out and think that I was shit at my job because I got injured, and it must have been because I did something irresponsibly or something like that. But what I've learned, and I've had 2 bulging discs, is that is absolutely not the case. It is also not the case that you can go and see a physio once, twice, 3 times and do the exercises they do for you, and the bulging disc has miraculously disappeared, and it's never going to come back. And to place all of your faith and reliance in a couple of hours worth of work to resolve something like that. Instead, you've really got to resolve the things in your lifestyle which have put you in that place. Yes, through those exercises, they're very, very important, but they're not. There is no one kind of cure-all thing for it, and it isn't going to be resolved super quick. So for me, what were the things that I believe caused my bulging disc? So in short, stress, being too stressed, the weight of a growing business, a growing team, lots of clients to look after, very long days. And like I mentioned, it was already, my 7th session of the day, and that was really a really regular but most day thing for me to work at that load. Stress tightens the muscles, puts pressure on the discs, they can bulge. It can be that simple. It can be stress. Stress creates those tight muscles, so those tight muscles then reinforce that funny pattern which keeps you trapped. What else? Lack of the right kind of core conditioning at the time. So focusing too much on some things and not enough on others. We all love to dodge our weaknesses or the things that cause us the most discomfort, and I've definitely done that. So if you feel like you're kind of dodging doing the core exercises you feel like you need to do, then trust me, you're not alone. I've done it. I wouldn't recommend it, but I have done it. And all those little things added up. I'm also hypermobile, so having bendy spine, bendy elbows, bendy knees. By that I don't mean I'm a contortionist. I'm certainly not. On a lot of things I do not look that flexible at all, but it means kind of having much more movement within a joint, deep movement than you would like. All those things added up, which are very, very common, that so many of us are experiencing. Stress, desk job, too much sitting down, things too tight, hypermobile, very, very common. Most of the clients I've ever worked with who've experienced pain repeatedly are hypermobile. There is absolutely an answer, and you can get to a place where you're not experiencing pain anymore. I mentioned I didn't have any pain at the start of the episode. That changed, and I did experience a lot of pain. I wasn't able to pick up any metal for 3 months. I wasn't able to do any lifting for 3 months. I was able to use resistance machines, but that was not comfortable at times. I was able to do limited forms of upper body training, but even stuff like dips were out because of the back position. So you could think, fuck, I'm in pain, I can't train, I can't do anything, because if I move at all, I'm going to carry on, being in pain. But if you know the right things to do, when you know the right things to do, when you know the things to look for, the things to watch in yourself, the conditioning that you need to do, then you can get back to doing all those things. So fast forward to now, I've got rid of what my pain developed into, which was sciatica, so nerve pain travelling down. Had it down both legs, depending on which side was bulging at the time. I don't have that anymore. I live without that. I can do everything that I used to do without pain, without restricted range of motion. I got the thing which I was dreaming of before I even had the bulging disc. So I had the bulging disc, and I had, before that I had 102.5 was my deadlift personal best at the time, so lifting something off the floor. Basically, something people tell you will hurt your back. Yes, it will hurt your back if you do it shit or you do too much, but if you do it right, it will not hurt your back, it will make your back better. So something I'd been dreaming of at the time was getting a double bodyweight deadlift, so 2 times me. and I've been kind of working on that for a while to build even up to 102.5. And yeah, I got my double body weight deadlift back this summer, so 120 kilos. And I've done 115 for 2 reps and 110 kilos for 3. So that would suggest that my max, although not fully tested, would be higher. So you absolutely can. And what I really, like I said at the start, I want you to get out of today is that you can. Back pain is not a life sentence. You can get out of it if you want to do the work. If you're willing to